Morning, all. All right, so let's talk about the Nashville Predators to start things off today. The Nashville Predators, a team that barely missed the playoffs in the West. They only missed by 3 points. So the final week of the season, they had games that mattered being played. And they actually finished with the same number of points as the Florida Panthers. Calgary had more points than Florida. And it's just interesting. It just shows that with the run Florida went on, it hid the fact they only had 92 points. Whereas for Nashville, the 92 points to miss the playoffs, and we see new general manager Barry Trotz making big changes. Now, new coach Andrew Burnett in Florida, he got a pretty strong performance from that team. Can he work some magic in Nashville? We'll see, right? So the exits of note: Matt Duchene and Ryan Johansson. Two huge contracts, two centers. And with them gone, even with the addition of Ryan O'Reilly, they're going to feel that, right? This is a team that's going to feel that down the middle of the ice. This was a team that finished 27th in goals for this past season and 12th in goals against. I would expect them to probably stay in the top half when it comes to the goals against department. And yeah, goals for are going to be a challenge for this team. I think the fact that they were 27th in goals for and still that close to the playoffs, a testament to just their ability to win some games that otherwise maybe they shouldn't have. That being said, pretty strong, in terms of adding Burnett and adding Trotz as a general manager. The on-ice product could be a different story, although they're one of those few teams that actually has cap space. $7,929,135. So you could add a player, or you could decide, you know what, we'll maintain that cap space, and then at the deadline, Nashville could be an interesting team to watch. They could stockpile first-round draft picks using that cap space at the deadline. So we'll see. But Philip Forsberg only played 50 games this past season. That was a big part of the reason they had trouble scoring goals. Forsberg is a very dynamic forward, and so if he's back and healthy and if he can play 75-plus games this year, that would help quite a bit. Nyquist's been added. Nyquist still a solid top 9 forward. I don't know if he belongs in the top 6. But you've got Trennan and you've got Tomasino on that side as well. Tomasino, of course, young player, first-round draft pick. I think he'll be given every opportunity to get those top 6 minutes on this team. Jankowski returns. He's on an expiring contract, the same as Trennan. So they'll both be UFAs next summer. Afanasyev, I'll get there at some point. It's close to other names that I've learned over the years. As you get older, it's just tougher to... Anyway, doesn't matter. But if he makes the team, obviously, I'll have to figure it out quickly. And Schaefer. Schaefer, a former first-round pick of the Oilers, acquired, I believe, in the Ekholm trade. And so they'll likely cultivate his career and do their best to make sure he's NHL ready. But he's probably going to need some time, right? And then down the middle. So was Ryan O'Reilly the number one center? Probably. Glass, Novak is here. Novak's a solid player. He's on an expiring contract. Maybe being in a contract year boosts his production. Parson, hardworking player there. And they've added Weatherby, although Weatherby, I think, is best suited to play in the AHL. But yeah, there's some intrigue, but really it is the wings where we see the talent. And yet, on the right side, does Evangelista get the first-round spot or first-line spot? Evangelista had a really good run after he came up. And again, if Andrew Burnett is going to have basically the challenge of, hey, get these kids good, give these kids a chance, that'll include Tomasino and Evangelista. But I like Evangelista's game. I do. I think he's a solid player. If he had played all season, he would have got a lot of consideration for Rookie of the Year. Might have even won it. Sissons, another one that's hardworking on this team. Not a lot of offense there, though. Kiefer Sherwood coming off of what feels like a career year with him. He was actually really good for Nashville. Cole Smith, again, is the work ethic there? Yes. Guryanov added, and it's a one-year deal for Guryanov. It'll be interesting to see if Guryanov ends up pushing into a third-line role. Does he get a chance at a second-line role? Like, how high up is he going to end up playing in this lineup? McCarron is still here as well. He's a UFA next summer. Angelo... Kemmel is the one to keep an eye on as far as I'm concerned. Joakim Kemmel, first-round pick not too long ago. When he came over and played for the Admirals this season, 14 games, 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 points. So it might be time to give Kemmel a good look in the lineup too. So if you've got Kemmel, you've got Evangelista, you've got Tomasino, you've got some good young talent up front. What's interesting, of course, is going to be that center spot. So we may have very strong wing play. We may have a lot of goals off the wing. We may not have a ton from down the middle, but we'll see. Then on the blue line, you do have Yossi. He is going to be playing, 27 minutes, 28, 30, 40, 50 minutes a game. At any rate, Yossi, who is a workhorse and always going to be in the consideration for the Norris, he is their best defenseman. They've added Luke Shen. Luke Shen signs an expensive deal, to be honest. I was kind of surprised it was that high. McDonough, Barry's on an expiring contract. He'll be wanting to produce some points to make sure he gets paid on his next deal. So there's some offense here. Carrier, Fabro. We know Carrier is going to be a very good defenseman in the NHL. He may end up being on that second pairing. McDonough may end up on the third. They have Lauzon. They still have Gross. Gross is on an expiring contract. This is Carrier and Barry. Gravel, expiring contract there too. And then you got McEwen. McEwen, a highly thought of prospect at one point in time, but now basically in the AHL. Stastny, who came up and played for a while for them last year. And Livingstone. Livingstone, of course, has had a year in the organization, stays in the organization. I think it was a 2-year extension he signed, 1 or 2 year extension. But Livingstone's a fascinating prospect. But it's a pretty crammed blue line. Like, this is a defense that if Livingstone was going to get into a game, he'd need some injuries in front of him for that to happen. So there are some pieces here for Nashville that I think mean that they'll be competitive. I don't know that they're going to be playing games of importance in March, but maybe in February. It does feel like this is a team that could fall off late in the season. So in net, their goaltending is fantastic. First, you got UC Saros, .919 save percentage. You've got Lankinen, whose contract expires at the end of this season, .916 save percentage. Kevin Lankinen gave them some very strong backup minutes this past year. Grosnick, number 3, or Askarov. So Askarov, honestly, is the goalie of the future here. He's probably going to be the starter at some point, but it's going to take some time. Goaltenders do usually take a little bit longer, so Saros doesn't have anything to worry about. There's been a lot of discussion about whether or not Nashville might trade Saros, but that seems to have cooled down. And I never reported on it because it didn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't understand why you would trade Saros. Like, and if the argument is, well, he's in his prime, and you want to, do a rebuild or a retool, he has a lot of value. Well, it's because he's one of the best goalies in the league, and he's in his prime. So unless they're going to do a full-on tear-down rebuild, I don't see that there's any need to trade Saros. But he would definitely generate a lot of interest. So would Forsberg, I would think, although I think Forsberg still got 7 years left on his contract. And, yeah, again, if you trade Saros, is Lankinen and Askarov, does that become your goaltending tandem? Because you don't know that necessarily works. But I guess the question I have is, if you're a Nashville fan, where's your level of optimism for this season? Do you think that with that defense core and with Saros and net, yeah, they're going to stay in the games and they may not score a ton of goals, it may not be pretty, but they can still win enough games to make it interesting? Or do you think this is the start of a retool or a rebuild? Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.